Hey, BassGeek here, and there are two great things about April. Number one, in almost anywhere across the country, the bass are spawning. Number two, it's my birthday. That's right, geeks, I really don't care about it being my birthday, but I do care about the bass pulling up shallow. They're gonna be feeding, they're getting ready to go up on the beds. I get ready to throw a whole lot of baits and catch a whole lot of bass, and it is just fun, fun, fun if you're in my neck of the woods. Now, what would I use this time of year to catch them? Let me show you. One of the other reasons that April is one of my favorite months is because it starts one of my favorite ways to catch bass, and that's on topwater. Topwater baits this time of year, from wake baits like the original riser, like the long A, which, by the way, if you guys haven't seen that video, wait till the end and I will give you the video on how to fish a long A as a topwater bait. It's amazing. Trust me, it has won a ton of money, and it's something out of East Tennessee that, unless you know somebody from here or you watch my video, a lot of people don't know. But wake baits this time of year are deadly, including the new riser bait. Check this out. I want to give Jack a huge shout out for putting some of these in my hand. I love these big new risers. I think we're going to get a lot of use as we get into April and even as we get into fall. Two other topwater baits that I love, of course, is the Heddon. The Super Spook, the one knocker. This is a great color for those smallmouth lakes. Love the dress treble. This thing will cast a mile. Now, last but not least, it has to be my prank. And hopefully, I don't want to tell too much right now, but there's something special going to happen with a prank. I'm not sure when, but I can't wait to show you guys. A prank is such a great bait this time of year, especially when the shad are garden fry, because it'll dive about 2-3 feet. So it is an incredible bait. A popper anytime during the post spawn or when they're garden shad, incredible bait just to keep over their head and drive them nuts. And that's number 5. Now, where I live at, we love to fish for smallmouth when they're coming up to the beds. And you've got to cover a lot of water because they don't spawn a lot of times in those traditional areas, especially, you know, not like northern smallmouth where they're spawning on sand or near rock, or, you know, like largemouth where they're going to spawn kind of in the backs of pockets or ultra shallow. The smallmouth will spawn on the main lake on a bluff, as long as there's some sort of rock there, you know, broken up rock. They'll spawn on what you see behind me right here. It's actually one of the keys that we actually key on here. And one of the great ways, because you're not sight fishing these bass, you know, the water's not so clear that we got a flogger out there, you know, looking at these bass, even though, I don't know, we probably could, but, you know, it's flogger. I don't know, you know, I ain't working that hard. So you gotta use some moving baits, and a good crankbait is a great way, especially something like this little crankbait right here. This is a Bandit 300. So you're gonna be able to fish it, you know, from 2-3 feet, what we do up on the steeper banks, and just kind of grind that bill down and go right through those beds. And a lot of times what you'll do is you'll feel them hit it. They'll come down and just hit down on it, or you'll catch them. So it's a great way to hunt and search. Like I said, this is the Bandit 300. The 200 works too, but sometimes they can raise and lower the water here, so I just always pick up the 300 and grind the bill. And that's number 4. Now, you can really use any crankbait. There's a number of crankbaits out there. I'll put a few of them in the description, and everything will be in the description. And like I always say, geeks, hey, do me a favor, go down to the description or scan this with your phone right here, this QR code, and save to your bookmarks the Tackle Warehouse link. And what that does is it helps out the channel some, because like I always say, we don't film in the garage. So it doesn't cost you a single dime extra when you buy at Tackle Warehouse. Just make sure you come and click on that bookmark link, or just come click on any BassGeek video, go to the description and click on that link before you go by. Helps us out a ton. Now, moving right along, next up is minnow baits. There's a ton of great minnow baits out there. The two that I've really been using the most here lately has probably got to be the new Damiki Armor Shad Fat, the big fat fatty. What I like about this thing is you can put it on a head, and because it's got that big belly, you know what I'm talking about? It wobbles like I walk most of the time. So it's got a good, nice wobble to it with almost any jig head that you use. One of my very favorites is the Angler Tungsten, because it screws up on there and it saves some money on buying these bad boys. And then when I want something a little bit smaller, this is when I go to the Yum FFS Minnow. I really like this. It's got some great colors in it. It's got a translucent belly, a little bit of a grayish back with a lot of different colors in it. And this is called Houdini Shad. And that is number 3 for April. Now, another great bait that I love to use to locate these bass and locate their beds is a swim bait. A lot of times these bass are stuck on the beds. They don't have a lot of opportunity to feed, especially the males, but those big females are there too. And that's why I love to throw like a 5 or 6 inch soft plastic swim bait. Now, this is the Ramsey baits. This is one of my favorites to throw right here because it is almost completely transparent. Now, if the water dirties up, I'll go with something a little more, we'll just call it, it'll have a little more pizzazz to it. You know, a little brighter, maybe put a chartreuse line down the side. And that color can be one of these. These are from Bass Munitions, and this is a trout swim bait. There are some trout in this lake, but this is a little smaller version. So it's like a, I think 3.5 inch, but it's got a good girthy body to it. Now, I like to use the smaller swim baits too, especially if you think you know where they're at and you can kind of come back and catch them. And an underspin, like the Pulse underspin, this little finesse head, is great this time of year. And I love to pair it with this new X-Zone Swammer. This is the 2.75. You run that bait through a bed, and they engulf it. They get it, they eat it, they don't miss this little combo. Now, you guys have heard me talk about this head for years. It is my favorite swim bait head, and that is the Ledgehead Lures Ledge Head. This is what I'm gonna throw on my big swim baits. What I love about it is it's keel weighted, so it gives that head roll to the worst swim baits. It also is actually designed to be used on things like Bass Tricks, those true hollow bodies, Shadalicious, because it's got a huge spring, so it can really dig into that nose, not just that little tiny bit of plastic that's on the front. And then this is what I call a run right arm. You can call it a keeper, but really and truthfully, what it does is it goes through the belly. And you know, those really hollow bodies have a real bad habit of tearing down the back, and then they'll keel over. What this does, it can tear off, you know, from head to tail. That'll keep that bait running straight up. So you're going to get a lot more out of those baits by using that ledge head. And that, the swim bait of basically any kind, is number 2. Next up, it's a worm. And there's several different worms that I like to use. A Ned is one of them. The Nico Ned, the fat Ned, you guys know I love a girthy worm. And you throw this little color on the bed, and they're gonna eat it. And that's called Green Voltage. Next up, I like a few different straight tail worms. So like shaky head worms, but I'm rigging them Texas rig most of the time so that I can get through and around that heavy rock and that brush. One of them has got to be the video that we just talked about the other day, and that is the J-Bros Fatty Stick Worm. That is a big fat worm, and if you drop it on their bed, they are not going to hesitate to grab it and try and move it. It is going to irritate them to death. This is one of my favorites. This is the Yum 4-inch finesse worm, and I love the blue flake this time of year. So this is the green pumpkin blue flake. And again, most of the time, we're gonna Texas rig these. Another great one is from Ramsey Baits. This is the 4.5-inch straight tail. All right, geeks, that is 5 baits that are gonna catch you a ton of bass coming up in April. Listen, one of the things that I want to tell you, I want to ask of you, is that when we got hijacked or hacked the other day, it has thrown the algorithm off, because the algorithm now thinks that we might be a Bitcoin company or a financial company or YouTube channel. So if you don't mind, please watch, please share, please tell everybody to watch and share, because right now we need you bass anglers to watch to remind the algorithm what we actually are. All right, now, hope you guys get out in April. Hope you are going to have a good time. I know up north, not quite there yet, but make sure you save this video and refer back to it when all the spawning action's happening up there for you guys. And like I said, a wake bait this time of year, especially once they pull up on the bed, can be incredible. So make sure you go check out how to fish the long A. It's the most incredible smallmouth wake bait you'll ever throw. Make sure you go check out this video right here. Otherwise, questions, comments in the comment section below. Like it if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you ring the bell. Be part of the 100% Watch Squad. And you geeks rock.